You must understand this. Women do not need you to act like their therapist. They are not looking for the most handsome man, nor the smartest and not even the most caring one. They get attached to the man who can stir their emotions and touch their inner balance without even asking for permission. Attachment does not come from affection. It comes from impact. It begins when a man quietly changes a woman's mental map without saying a single word. What makes it fascinating is that he does not need to do it through grand gestures. In fact, big gestures often fail because they feel forced and unnatural. True attachment grows from tiny, almost invisible actions that her brain registers as biological signals of deep emotional connection. When a woman becomes attached, it does not happen consciously. She never thinks, "I'm going to get emotionally involved with this man." It just happens. Her emotional system detects a specific pattern of behavior that tells her, "This man understands me. He sees me. He feels different." That pattern has nothing to do with words, compliments, or romantic speeches. It comes from 6 invisible actions that, without her noticing, activate the same brain circuits that control emotional attachment, desire, and affectional dependency. Let's start with the first one. 1. Break her predictability without breaking her sense of safety. A woman feels attachment when a man gives her both certainty and mystery in just the right amount. Not too predictable, because that kills the emotion. Not too chaotic, because that awakens her defenses. The middle ground is where deep mental attraction grows. An ordinary man usually falls into one of the 2 extremes. He either becomes too routine and transparent, or he tries to be so unpredictable that he ends up looking unstable. The man who creates attachment understands that a woman's attention cannot be conquered. It must be interrupted. That emotional interruption happens when she cannot fully predict your reaction, not because you are confusing, but because you act from your own logic. You do not respond to gain her approval, but you act according to your own standards. That simple difference shakes the sense of control she thought she had. When a woman cannot completely anticipate what you will do, her mind starts searching for you. Literally, her brain goes into constant analysis, trying to figure you out. And that process releases dopamine, the same chemical that reinforces addiction. But the secret is to do this without breaking her sense of safety. She must feel that you are stable, that your inner world does not depend on her validation, yet you are capable of surprising her at any moment. That balance keeps her emotionally connected, not because she desires you physically, but because her mind needs to complete what feels unfinished. Number 2. Create sensory experiences that her mind cannot forget. Attachment is not built through what you say, but through what you make her feel, without words. A woman can forget your words, your gifts, even your touch, but she will never forget how her body reacted when you were around. The female body holds emotional memories through sensations. The tone of your voice, the calm way you move, the eye contact that holds silence without tension, all these are signals that, when repeated in the right context, slowly reprogram her physical response toward you. A man who understands the art of attachment does not try too hard to impress or seduce. Instead, he creates atmospheres. He builds moments where his presence has weight, where silence feels comfortable, and where his energy quietly fills the space without needing to be announced. Most men try to talk more, do more, or prove more. But those who create deep attachment are the ones who can make time feel as if it stops for a few seconds. She does not know why, but she feels different when she is near him. Her breathing changes, her focus sharpens, and her body begins to associate his presence with emotional intensity. That is where unconscious bonding begins. Her body gets used to feeling more when he is present and less when he is gone. That difference becomes need, and need is the root of attachment. Number 3, master the art of intermittence. Nothing builds stronger attachment than an intermittent signal. Not constant, not absent, but balanced in between. In behavioral psychology, this is called variable reinforcement. It is the same principle that makes people addicted to social media or games. You never know when the reward will come, but when it does, it is powerful enough to keep you waiting for the next one. Women experience this in the same way, but through emotional cues. When a man is always available, her brain stops producing dopamine. When a man is completely absent, her mind eventually removes him as an emotional threat. But when he appears in unpredictable yet meaningful ways, her emotional system becomes alert and engaged. This is not about disappearing or trying to manipulate. It is about breaking emotional routine, allowing your actions and responses to come from a real place, not from a fixed pattern. Your rhythm should reflect your time, your priorities, and your genuine desire. The natural intermittence of a man who is focused on himself, not indifferent but busy with his purpose, becomes deeply magnetic. She does not know when you will text again, but when you do, everything inside her lights up. That feeling of reconnecting after a pause strengthens her inner bond with you. That is how a man stops being just an option and becomes a stimulus her body unconsciously wants to experience again. Number 4. Make her express herself without feeling judged. One of the most powerful experiences a man can offer a woman is emotional freedom. Not through phrases like "I understand you," but through his calm, steady presence. The man who creates attachment does not rush to fix things. He listens with the kind of attention that softens her defenses. His gaze does not interrupt or correct. It simply understands. Most women live in a state of self-protection. Even the most confident ones have learned that showing vulnerability often comes with a price. That is why, when she meets a man who does not judge her, who observes her without losing his own balance, something changes inside her. Her mind realizes that with him, she can show emotion without losing respect, and that psychologically is a powerful trigger for attachment. The female mind connects emotional safety with emotional value, not because you please her, but because you create a space where she can be herself without fear. This kind of connection is unforgettable. When she opens up and you stay grounded, her subconscious marks you as a reference point, as the man with whom she can be herself without feeling weak. Even if she never says it, that silent belief keeps her tied to you even when she tries to move away. Number 5. Show interest without depending. One of the most common mistakes men make when seeking connection is confusing interest with dependency. Interest attracts, dependency destroys desire. A woman becomes attached when she feels that you see her, but you do not need her. When she senses that your world is already full and complete, yet you still choose to include her, it gives her a feeling of emotional privilege, not obligation. Your attention should not feel like a request for approval. It should feel like a rare gift, and everything rare becomes valuable. The man who creates attachment does not chase. He chooses. He does not react to every signal. He decides where to place his energy. That quiet selectiveness is magnetic. When she realizes that you could have many options but still remain present, not out of need but out of choice, her mind becomes restless. She begins to wonder why a man who depends on no one chooses her. That question keeps her emotionally connected. You do not seek constant validation. You do not try to prove anything. You simply treat her as someone whose presence is appreciated, but never essential. That perfect balance between desire and self-sufficiency awakens her instinct for attachment. Number 6. Leave a trace in her mind, even when you are not around. This last principle is subtle but extremely powerful. It is about making her think of you when you are doing nothing at all. This happens through invisible emotional anchors, not manipulation but consistency. It lives in small, unique details that her mind cannot find in anyone else. For example, the way you look at her before replying, the pause you take before holding her hand, the tone you use when you say her name to calm her down. These are micro-emotional codes that get recorded in her subconscious. Later, when she goes through her day and something triggers that memory, a sound, a word, a scent, her mind projects your image. And even if she tries not to, her body reacts. Your presence becomes active again in her emotional memory. That is how attachment solidifies. When she connects intense and safe emotions with your image, not with your messages, gifts, or promises, but with your sensory imprint. And that imprint does not fade easily because it does not live in her thoughts, it lives in her body. Attachment is not about having control over someone. It is about awakening something in her that she has never felt before. A mix of calm and excitement, safety and mystery, logic and chaos. Only a man who has mastered his emotional center can create that. He understands that attention is not begged for, it is inspired. True power does not come from making her depend on you. It comes from becoming the experience her mind cannot replace. When you reach that level, you do not need to insist. She comes back on her own, not because you pushed or persuaded, but because her emotions have already linked your presence with a feeling she cannot find anywhere else. That is the hidden essence of attachment, to influence without control, to move her without pressure, to create impact without force. Only the men who master this subtle art achieve what most never will, the understanding that real emotional power is not about being her constant focus, but about becoming the most pleasant interruption in her mind.